What's up, everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to Monster Energy Supercross 3, the official video game, where today I'm going to be playing a custom replica build of the 2021 Houston Supercross 1, which is coming up this Saturday, the first round of the 2021 Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship this weekend, and I am doing it while also about to talk about the 2021 Monster Energy Supercross season. That's right, folks. My little preview show here, going to be playing this game and talking about some of my thoughts and opinions on the upcoming season, what I think is going to happen, what I think might not happen, and a bunch of other things along the line. This is going to be the 450 preview show from my end. I'm also going to do another video later this week about the 250 class when we know a little bit more about which rider is going to be planning on racing which coast and everything like that. Of course, we're starting with East Coast this year, so trying to get all that figured out. But yeah, very exciting to get Supercross started again. Houston 1 right around the corner. Going to be a lot of fun to be talking about Supercross, watching Supercross every weekend again, and trying to figure out all the chaos that's going to come with this season. A lot of storylines in this 450 class and a lot of things that I think are going to make this season one of the best in recent years, even if it is going to be really strange having to go to, multiple rounds at the same venue and not going to a lot of the same races that we normally go to. No Anaheim 1 is a little bit of a bummer, things like that. But I still think that this has the potential to be a really good racing season, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So let's go ahead and jump in. I got a whole long list of topics to talk about today, and I want to start off by talking about kind of more or less riders who I think are shoe-in staples, whatever you want to call it, to run towards the front this year. And I'm not saying the front is necessarily winning races, but maybe run up front and challenge for wins or podiums on occasion, and at the very least should expect to be somewhat of top dogs this year. And that is going to be Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Ken Roxon, Zach Osborne, Adam Cianciarulo, Marvin Musquin, Jason Anderson, and to some degree Justin Barcia, Malcolm Stewart, and maybe Dean Wilson or like Aaron Plessinger as well. You could probably put the rookies of like Chase Sexton, Dylan Ferrandis also in that mix, but I'm going to have a whole separate topic about them. So I wanted to talk about those kind of 10-ish, 11 guys to start with, and I'll start off by our defending champion, 2020 Monster Energy Supercross champion for the first time ever in his career. Eli Tomac is entering the first round of Supercross as the defending champion. And interestingly enough, I feel like there's very little hype around Eli right now. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if it's just because of the nature of the hype of the season and wanting someone else to win, and you don't always look to the defending champion as someone that you're just gonna throw a bunch of money into a pot for or something like that. I really don't know, but I just don't feel like there's a lot of Eli Tomac, like he's looking good, looking solid at the test track kind of thing, which there never really is anyway. He is his own guy. He lives his own life, and he's off in Colorado doing his own thing. But I don't think that this is going to be one of those years where Eli, is miles different, either better or worse. I think we're going to see pretty much a very similar brand of Eli Tomac that we saw in 2020. And I think by similar brand, I mean what we saw for the first 10 rounds of 2020. I don't think that the more or less electrifying lights out Tomac that we saw at some of the rounds in Salt Lake City is going to just come right to the front immediately. He never seems to be a guy that starts seasons very strong. That could just be because, California, Anaheim, I don't know, maybe he doesn't gel with the tracks out there or something, but it seems like usually it's until we go east that things are good, and things are starting east for him this year, so there's every reason to believe things are going to be good. But I also have seen in the past that Tomac has had a tendency to struggle from the first round to round 2 or 3, particularly if he's a little bit off with setup. He just doesn't quite feel like he's ready to go and right there. So I think we're going to see a similar brand to that of Eli Tomac this year. Now, personally speaking, I am still picking him to win the 2021 Monster Energy Supercross Championship because I don't believe just yet that there is anybody else really that can just straight up take it to him week in and week out and beat him on speed. As soon as there's someone along those lines, then I'll stray away from picking him as a title threat, because I think that there's still some things championship-wise that he hasn't fully ironed out that we haven't seen across a full regular season. Like last year was so weird, so up in the air. The big break in the middle of the season, the 7 races at Salt Lake City. I think it was all just so unique and so different that we really didn't see the true what Eli Tomac is made of down the stretch when he is possessing the points lead late into the season after he's had it for a while. So because of that, I'm still not 100% sold that he's going to win the opener and lead the points from day one through the rest of the season. But I still believe he is going to win the championship. Now, his main rivals are going to come in multiple forms, and I think his most likely biggest rival is obviously going to be Cooper Webb, who was his biggest rival at Salt Lake City last year. But Webb is a weird case to me. It's weirder than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for. Coming off the back injury, he skipped all of outdoors. I think that is going to put him a little bit further behind than just a lot of people are giving it credit for. I'm not going to say that he's going to come out and get 10th at the opener, but I think we're going to probably see Webb take a little bit of time to just get back into the role of things. He's a very momentum, confidence type of rider, and I think, by rounds 3 or 4, he's right up there fighting for wins consistently again. But I think that the first round, he's going to try to just take it easy, play it safe. The old cliche of you can't win it at the opener, but you can certainly lose it kind of thing. He's just coming off of an injury that affected him and then didn't affect him and then affected him worse, and then he just decided to pull out and get some stuff fixed in it. So I think for Webb's sake, just making it to like round 3 or 4 with a decent points haul and still healthy is going to be huge for him, because I think he can win like rounds 3, 5, 6 or something like that and be right in the thick of the title hunt. And then we saw in his 2019 title season how great he was down the stretch. So I'm going to be keying in on Webb and his performance in the first 2 rounds to see where kind of he's settling into the group. And if he's right up at the front, then good. If he's in mid-pack, I'm not going to be that concerned. But if he's way off, I think then we have to look into it a little bit. And that's kind of what I think we're going to have to look at with Webb. Now, there's a group of people behind those two that I feel like fit into one box, kind of I have too many question marks to really say yes or no positively about their chances and what I think is going to happen with them. And that really is including Ken Roczen, and then Zach Osborne, Adam Cianciarulo, and Marvin Musquin, and to a degree Jason Anderson, I think are all in this box of I just don't know. I personally think that Marvin Musquin is being thrown way, way too far under the bus by a lot of people. I think he's being way underrated coming into the season. I don't really know why that is. The knee injury thing, it happened, but he came back. He raced all of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross last year. He won his 5th moto on return and then finished 4th in the standings, and admittedly said he fell off down the stretch there and was a little bit confused about that, but he's looking to rectify those problems and says, just like all these guys have, that they've had a good offseason, they're feeling strong, they're feeling fit and ready to go. Marvin says he does feel a little bit off of his 2019 pace, but I don't think a little bit off Marvin Musquin is enough to move him from a guy that finished 3rd or 2nd 3 years in a row in the standings to P10 in power rankings, which is, to me, just ridiculous. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's just power rankings, there's people, picking stuff out of a hat. It's not really what I think people believe is going to happen. But that doesn't sit well with me at all. I think Marvin deserves to be, at the very least, top 6, if not somewhere mixed in with Osborne, Roczen for 3rd, 4th, 5th kind of thing. And then Anderson as well, I think, flying well under the radar as well. Just it doesn't, I kind of don't get how those two guys, both guys that won motos this past season in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, both guys that have been consistent title threats to a degree in Supercross, although Anderson, I feel, has had a bigger fall off since his 2018 title than Marvin did off of that 2018 season. I still think both of those guys are guys that we have to look at as they can win races. I don't think that this is they're not going to win races, they're not going to run up front. I think that they both have the potential to do it, and it's weird to me how hard everyone is throwing both of them down a cliff, particularly Marvin. It's just really strange how Marvin in power rankings and just kind of everything ends up behind Barsha and Mookie. And to me, I think it's crazy that he's behind AC even, but people are putting him behind Sexton and stuff like that. And it's I got to see a whole lot more from these guys before I'm putting Marvin Musquin behind Malcolm Stewart, who's never won a race, or Justin Barsha, who did win a race last year, but then fell off a cliff in Salt Lake City. And then he's on a brand new bike, and Malcolm's on a new bike, and Chase Sexton's a full-blown rookie in the class, and Cianciarulo crashed a lot last year. And it's a lot of people that are just doubting Marvin, in my opinion, and Anderson as well, that it's kind of crazy that it's gotten to that point. But going back to Roczen, who I think would be the header of this group because he won 4 races last year. He's now tied for, I think, 16th all-time on the Supercross wins list or something like that. He's only 4 wins away from, tying Damon Bradshaw for the most career wins without winning a title, which, personally speaking, I think the sun is about to set on Ken Roczen's window of opportunity to win championship. Talking about Marvin, of course, there's always a chance with these guys, and, as they get older and stuff like that, and Roczen's still got a couple years left on his contract, but we've seen time and time again that Roczen seems to just kind of have either health issues or injuries or something come up that takes away his chance at winning a championship every year. And I think that this year the biggest problem he's going to have to deal with is adapting to a brand new motorcycle. They all say that bike is great. They've figured it out. They've dialed it in. They've got the testing done and stuff like that. But when you go to the racetrack, when you actually put it in a race mode, when you field against other competition, it always happens that they think they have it all figured out. We get to the first round, they got nothing figured out in reality. I don't think that's going to be the exact case with Honda. I think they're going to have a little bit better opportunities with that bike. But I don't think that this is the solution for Ken Roczen. I don't think it's going to be one of those that, just as soon as he gets on the bike, of course he's going to win 9 rounds and win the championship. I think that he's going to have a little bit of growing pains on a brand new bike this year that they're still learning, they're still adapting to. And unlike any other season, they don't get Anaheim 1 to be like, well, that wasn't great, let's go test 3 days this week in California and figure stuff out. No, H1 is on a Saturday and H2 is on a Tuesday, so you got 2 days in between that to maybe do some testing, but doesn't sound like there's many opportunities in Texas to get some testing done for these guys, so they're really going to be kind of back against the wall with a lot of that stuff. And I think I just personally think that that's going to affect Ken Roczen more than most people because of the new bike and because of coming off of a full summer off and stuff like that. It just, to me, it doesn't add up to a good recipe of success just yet. I could be completely wrong. I could be 100% in the wrong direction, and they figured everything out in the offseason that they needed to, and he's right on right on track to get things rolling from day one and wins the opener or something like that. But I don't see it going that way. That's just my opinion, and I'm sure everybody else has a different opinion. So I think Ken Roczen does fall off of the Webb, Tomac, and Roczen trio up front and slides back into this other mix of guys that I'm talking about, like the Osbornes and Cianciarulos and Andersons and Muscans, because I think that those guys are coming into this season maybe with a little bit more momentum. Maybe not Anderson, but pretty much everybody else seemingly had a pretty good Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship that's in that group and has a little bit more time to adapt to the bike. It's obviously Cianciarulo's sophomore year. He got a little surgery on a pinched nerve in his elbow that he says is feeling a little bit better now, and so maybe he's coming in with a little bit more confidence. Zach Osborne just freaking won the outdoors, so he's obviously going to be riding high and have a lot of confidence coming into this year as well. So I think that you can kind of lump all those guys together, and I think from that, you were going to have Tomac and Webb be 2 guys that clearly win races. I think you can pick maybe 2 or 3 more guys from that 5 that I listed that win races, and that's where I'm cutting the line. I don't think Barcia or Mookie gets a win this year. I don't think Sexton or Ferrandis as full-blown true rookies get a win this year. And if someone else besides anybody that I've mentioned here gets a win, it's going to be because it's an off-the-wall type of thing, like they get up front and happen to lead a lot of the race or something like that. But I don't think that you're going to see a win come from many other people like that. And it happens every year where we get 2 or 3 rounds in and we have 2 or 3 different winners, and we're like, dude, 7 people could win this year and it's still so close, and championship fights and stuff like that. And then we get to round 10 or 11 and we've realized that we've settled in with only 4 guys have won races and only 2 guys are really battling for wins anymore, and it looks like that's how it's going to be for a long time. So I think that that's what we're going to be looking at again this year. It's a 17-round season. The tracks are going to be fairly similar because of the same dirt and stadiums and stuff like that, but I still think we grow into a similar trend of what we normally see over a 17-round Supercross season with those guys. Now, talking about Barcia and Mookie and to a degree Dean Wilson, I think that all 3 of those guys, particularly Malcolm in my opinion, have a lot of potential that is either going to go way in their favor or way against them. Barcia's switching a bike, going to a team where he's the guy that they're all focusing on, gas, doing a lot of fun branded things, this A1 thing that they did and all that stuff. I feel like in a degree adds some more pressure to Barcia's shoulder, but it also takes it away because he he's the guy now, like they don't have to be focusing on Aaron Plessinger in the pits next to him or anything like that. They just have to focus on him and make sure that he's all dialed in and comfortable. But he's also moving to a platform he's never ridden on before. He's never ridden a steel frame bike like the KTM, Husky, or Gas brands offer. He's been, Honda, Suzuki, and then Yamaha pretty much his entire career. So I think it is an uphill battle, just like it is for Roczen to learn a new bike. I don't think Barcia is going to come out and immediately be guns blazing either. Even if they all say that, I got the bike dialed, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling comfortable. When push comes to shove, I feel like you get to the racetrack, things are a little bit different. So I feel the same thing might happen to Barcia, where we get to the opener and he's feeling good, he's feeling the flow in practice, things are cooking, and then the gate drops and he gets like a 6th place start and files in with the rank and file of everybody because he's just not at a comfortable level to push the bike in traffic, to feel what it's like when the track is breaking down, because he hasn't raced it yet. So again, kind of unanswered questions that I was talking about in the group before that. We have to wait and see with Barcia. We have to wait and see with Malcolm too. Like, how does he adapt to the Yamaha? His brother James, who loves setting the bike up really stiff and charging whoops and stuff, which is very similar to what we see out of Malcolm, although he's obviously a fair bit bigger than James was, never really gelled with the newer generation rear-facing engine Yamahas, and eventually it kind of led to him choosing to go to a bike that he liked better, the chassis on the Suzuki. Even though it didn't deliver as much power, James liked that Suzuki better. I don't think that that's going to happen per se with Malcolm. I think that Malcolm is his own rider, his own guy. He's going to find his own quirks and things that he does and doesn't like about the Yamaha. I just hope for his sake that the quirks that he does find is for him to be able to find the level that he found with Moto Concepts, where he can charge the whoops and he can run up front and he can battle for victories and different things like that. So I have to wait and see. But to me, I can see why you could build a case for Barcia. I can see why you could build a case for maybe Sexton, but to put Mookie or even Sexton or any of these guys ahead of Musquin, I don't know. Didn't make any sense to me. Let's talk about rookies, though. I wanted to talk about just kind of where I see the Rookie of the Year campaign going, I guess. Dylan Ferrandis coming in. He obviously broke his hand/wrist in a crash at Lake Elsinore back in December. Says he's back on the bike, says things are going fairly smoothly. He's just looking to kind of make the opener and see where things are at. So of all the rookies, you got Sexton, Ferrandis, McElrath, and Hartraft coming in. Hartraft on the Twisted Tea Hep Suzuki. I think you have to give the nod to Sexton as being the guy that is 100% most prepared. McElrath also coming in with an injury. He had a grade 2, I believe it was, shoulder separation, also in a testing crash not too long ago, and is just now getting back onto the bike and just now trying things out. So it's looking very possible that he won't be 100% for the opener, or maybe not even race the opener. And then Hartraft, I don't think is on the same level as those guys. I think he has the potential to be very solid mid-pack guy, kind of turn into a more or less like a Kyle Chisholm career guy that makes mains, gets you pretty good points, good second rider on the team. But I'm not looking to him as a guy that's gonna break the mold. And as soon as he got on a 450, he's gonna be lights better than he was on a 250. So I think the Rookie of the Year race, personally speaking, comes down to Sexton versus Ferrandis. And what it really boils down to is if Sexton starts the season hot, can he carry it all the way through so that when Ferrandis finally figures the 450 out and finally gets the ball rolling and isn't coming in behind the 8 ball because he's injured and maybe starts running up front, does he, dethrone Sexton as the top rookie by the end of the year? I don't think either of them win a race this year, personally speaking. That's great. Sexton won the last outdoor race of the year. He had a lot of competition that did not exist on the track. There was no Webb, there was no Roczen, there was no Musquin, there was no Anderson. A lot of guys not there. Osborne's trying to win a title. Tomac knows the title's over. Cianciarulo crashed. Sexton's great. He's the future. I believe it, but I don't think the future is now just yet, and I think that it's going to take him a year to adapt to everything, including a brand new bike, which he's ridden the old 450 a little bit now, obviously, but new 450 is going to be a little bit different. Even if it's a better chassis, everything along those lines, it still is a learning curve for those guys to get kind of their head wrapped around and everything like that. So I don't think they win a race. I do personally believe that Sexton wins the Rookie of the Year just because he's going to have a better, health bill, I guess, throughout the season. Ferrandis, to me, is still kind of a perennial crasher, whereas Sexton seems to save his crashes pretty well. and ride a little bit smoother. I think Ferrandis is going to have a bit more of a steep learning curve compared to Sexton adapting to the 450 and getting that thing wrestled underneath of him. So I got Sexton as my 450 Rookie of the Year. And I wanted to turn the attention now to some other riders that I just wanted to very quickly hit on and mention some names. I'm just going to go down a quick list right here. You got Aaron Plessinger, Max Anstey, Martin Davalos, Brock Tickle, Joey Savacci, Justin Brayton, Justin Bogle, Vince Freeze. And I'm going to stop right there because I have now mentioned 22 different riders, and that is going to fill out a whole 22-man main event. Now, riders I haven't mentioned: Benny Bloss, Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Noren, guys that should make main events, guys that are consistent, guys that can run, great lap times. We saw Bloss, fastest qualifier last year. At one point, I think it was Salt Lake City 5, he was fastest qualifier or something like that. So Bloss has the speed, but I mean, that list of riders is insane. Maybe McElrath doesn't line up at the opener, so we lose a rookie, and then Bloss easily slots in with those guys. But, you got AP, who's a former champion, Max Anstey, GP guy making his return. I think he's going to be fine and go straight into the main event. I think his Supercross skills are going to be just okay. I don't think they're going to be fantastic, but I don't think he's going to be so off that he's going to miss the main. You got Davalos, who Rookie of the Year last year in the 450 class. Even though Cian Cerullo, in my opinion, was a lot better, Davalos outscored him because AC got hurt. So, Marty Party, he's going to be back. Joey Savacci makes the switch to the Rocky Mountain ATV MCWPS KTM team. I think that's going to be an actually pretty good fit for him there. I think that, starting his career with the KTM platform, he kind of understands the chassis a little bit, even though it's changed and he was on a 250 back then. I think he understands how steel frames adapt to everything, and I think he'll be totally fine on that bike, and I think it actually boosts his confidence a little bit, being one of the top guys within the team instead of being a number 2 rider. Clearly, he was, pretty much the top guy at JGR, but JGR was all over the place at the end, so I think it was a little bit of a bad situation for him anyway. Then you got Justin Brayton on the Muck-Off Honda team. I think he's going to be pretty strong. He always seems to start the season pretty well and be a consistent front runner right from the get-go. He's still riding with the factory Honda guys on occasion, it seems. He's got the new Honda platform under him. He's a pretty good test rider, so he's going to have, I think, a pretty good platform to build off of. Justin Bogle, I think, is a guy that I was pretty excited for his return in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. I was disappointed in the end results of it. I'm not too stoked about his chances indoors this year. I think what Bogle needs to do to really kind of make sure that he's okay moving forward, he needs to just kind of like wipe the slate clean and stop thinking about running towards the front, getting hole shots, all this stuff like that, and start brand new. Pretty much go like, hey, if I make the main tonight, thumbs up. Like that is goal number 1 accomplished, because I think he gets kind of caught out in some weird situations, but he needs to just make it through like half the year even healthy. He just can't crash and get hurt and put himself in another hole again to try to dig himself out of again. He just has to build a base if he ever wants to continue making it in this championship, or even in this sport with a career. Like, he's got to almost start over again, in my opinion. So we'll see how he does. Vince Freeze is the guy who I have listed as P22 on my list. I don't think that that's where he's going to be. I think Freeze is a very capable guy of ending up anywhere between 10 to 15 probably, and he is also going to be on the 2021 Honda, as the rest of the Moto Concepts team will not be on the 2021 Honda. I think I skipped over Brock Tickle. He is also going to be on the Moto Concepts team, but he is going to be on the 2020 Honda, as will Bloss and McElrath, because they feel that they have a pretty good base built with that bike already. They didn't want to go into the new season on an untested machine. It also sounds like they had a difficult time getting a 2021 Honda, so they're using Freeze as a tester for that bike to get them a good base setting, so when they do use it in 2022 with whichever riders they have that year, they have a good base 2021 or new model Honda, I guess I should say, build underneath of them. So I think Freeze riding the new bike is going to be totally fine. He's a pretty decent tester. He's a pretty strong rider, and he starts very well as well. So I see him, probably starting somewhere inside the top 10 in the main event, shuffling back to P14 and, wiping his hands and saying that was a decent opener. We got some good data. We're feeling good about it and moving on. So I did leave Bloss, Chisholm, and Noren out. I think Bloss probably does go straight in, but I don't know where the musical chairs land then. I don't know if you take out... I don't know who you take out, really. Maybe take out Bogle of that list, or maybe his teammate Freeze. Maybe Freeze is the one that doesn't make the main, but he's a good starter, so I don't see how that would work. And then Chiz and Freddie Noren, like I said, also on my list here, but I just don't have really any faith in either of those guys going straight to the main. Chiz seems like a guy that starts well and runs P8 for a long time and maybe makes it out of the heat, but you know, H1's so stacked, a lot of guys vying for positions. Always at A1 or wherever we start the season, it seems like a factory guy or two misses the first main event of the year. So I think that there's going to be a surprise guy that doesn't make the main event. I don't know who that is. I don't know who it's going to be. Like, I could just pick a name out of a hat and say, it's going to be, I don't know, Dino or, you know, Savachi. Maybe Savachi in his first race of the team doesn't make the main. Something weird is going to happen. Someone's going to either crash or a bike malfunction or just a tip over, and it's going to cost them a chance in the heat race. They're going to get swallowed up in the LCQ, and things are just going to be weird. It always seems to happen. And then somebody that I haven't talked about at all just goes straight to the main event, and it's like, where did that guy come from? So I don't know. That's just kind of opening round talk, but that's kind of my synopsis of pretty much all those riders. Now, I did want to end the video, kind of like 30-minute long video today, by talking about 3 of my bold predictions, because I feel like it's just kind of fun to have bold predictions. One of my bold predictions that paid out to a freaking T that I never thought would be something that worked was I picked Joey Savachi for Rookie of the Year in 2019, and lo and behold, he was Rookie of the Year over Plessinger and Osborne and Justin Hill at the time. And I also, in that bold prediction, said that Joey Savachi would sign with JGR at the end of the year, and this was at the very end of 2018 that I said this, before he'd even made his full 450 debut. Guess what? Signed with JGR in 2020. So I feel like sometimes I hit the nail on the head like that. Sometimes I'm also way off, like picking Justin Bogle as a sleeper outdoors, for example. But here are my bold predictions. The first one is this, and it pertains to the opening round. Adam Cianciarulo is going to win Houston 1, and he is going to lead the points for the first 5 rounds of the year. So he is going to be rocking the red backgrounds on the number 9. He's going to win Houston 1. He might win another round at Houston, but I think he only holds the points lead until right before we leave Indy, or maybe the last round of Indy, so that's 6 rounds. And then I think the pressures of trying to challenge for a championship early in the season, when there's all the hype and all that stuff, kind of gets to him. I think he's going to come in this year a little, like, I don't want to say under the radar, but just like not overhyped in a sense. He's definitely being hyped up to a degree, but I think that like he, in his own little personal rebuild process and getting the surgery that he did, I think he's in a good place. I think he's going to be strong. I think he's going to probably fade a little bit late in races like he did last year, but I think he wins the opener. That's going to be his first career Supercross win, and carry the red plate into round 5, 6-ish, but probably not going to go longer than that, and then cough it up to somebody else, but I'll get to that in a second. My second bold prediction is one that I feel like nobody's going to agree with me, and that's totally fine. That's your prerogative. I'm not picking this because I really, really like this guy or anything along those lines. I just legitimately think that he's way more underrated than most people give him credit for, and his track record shows that he is absolutely capable of doing this. So here is my bold prediction number 2. Marvin Musquin beats Ken Roczen in the points. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe Marvin still finishes 4th because Zacho or AC finished 3rd behind Webb and Tomac, or maybe he finishes 5th because Roczen finishes 6th or something like that. But I think that a lot of people are giving Roczen like ultra hypeage and just completely giving nothing to Musquin in return. And I think that's wrong, because if you look at the past records, really from 2017 when Ken Roczen got hurt up until the last time that Marvin and Kenny raced each other at the end of 2019, Marvin was better. Kenny did get better last year. He finally broke through and won some races, but I don't think that Marvin is going to be way worse than Kenny like some people think he will be. So I think that on some level, some way, some shape or form, whether it's an injury or just straight up Marvin is going to be faster throughout the year, I think Musquin beats Roczen in the points. And with that, I think Marvin ends up top 5 without a doubt in the championship, probably 4th. I think either AC or Osborne or somebody else comes up and gets him. But I think that he ends up 4th in the standings and beats Ken Roxon in the points. All right, and my final bold prediction of the year, which is going to put my kind of butt on the hot seat a little bit by the time we get to the 9th round of the season, is if Eli Tomac isn't the points leader by Daytona, he does not win the 2021 Monster Energy Supercross Championship. And here is my logic for that. Eli Tomac, to my belief, is a guy that gets inside of his own head too much. And we've talked about this over the years a lot with Eli. I think that you put him in a situation where either if Webb or maybe if AC still has a points lead, or Kenny has a great start to the year, or Marvin shuffles into the front somehow, or any of those scenarios, Osborne wins a bunch of races, something. I think it's going to kind of like mentally defeat Eli more so than it has in the past, because he should be thinking like, this is easy, I should win this, this is my title defense. I don't think he has that carrot dangling in front of him anymore of like, I'm desperate to win this title before my career is over. And if he hasn't figured out a way to establish himself and win enough races and get the points lead by Daytona, which is the 9th round, the absolute halfway point of the season, I think that somebody else will have already taken the reins on the championship and walks it home from there. I know it's a weird statement to make because every year we always go, oh, championship starts at Daytona. Don't think about points until Daytona because that's when the real battle fight starts. But the opposite is actually very true. If you have the points lead at Daytona, it's very likely you walk home with the championship after that. Very likely. So that's just my opinion. I think that Eli needs to be the points leader by halfway if he wants to win the title. Obviously, I think all those bold predictions, they could go 100% the opposite direction, but I still like just making them just in case something hits and having a little bit of fun with them. And as I always say, it's not, my opinion is not the end-all be-all, and I don't think that you're an idiot or stupid for, having completely opposite opinions of me. That's the whole point of this. It's bench racing. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of excitement to get the season kicked off here pretty soon. And I am absolutely looking forward to it, bench racing with you guys, talking about it over and over again. And yeah, actually, in the comment section below, if you guys have made it this deep into the video, go ahead and let me know your bold prediction. What is something that you think is going to surprise us in 2021 with the 450 class in Supercross? Someone that either we're not talking a lot about or someone that we're talking a lot about that's going to hurt or suffer more than we say he will, or anything along those lines. Love to hear it. As always, appreciate you guys stopping by and watching another video here on Start Your Systems, and we'll have that 250 preview coming later this week to talk about the first round and really all of 250 East, which starts off in Houston as well this weekend. But appreciate, like I said, you guys stopping by, watching another video, and I hope to see you guys in all of our future videos on the channel. But this is Kellen signing off for now and saying I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.